Hello everyone, welcome to episode 13 of HorrorHouse, and today I'm joined by a guest who has never been on the show before. He's a blogger and author. Please welcome Collin Murr.
Hey Morgan, good to be here. Hey everybody.
Collin, so you chose for today's topic Satanic Horror, or the devil as a character. Which,
Yes.
it's not necessarily a sort of subgenre of horror that I know a great deal of depth about. So I'm really interested to have this discussion. What made you choose that out of anything that you could choose?
Well, as far back as like middle school, high school, you read at least in America, we would read like The Devil and Tom Walker by Washington Irving, or you
Right,
hear about Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe.
right.
And it's just interesting to hear how someone will portray pure evil
Mhm.
as a character.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And of course, Satan is pure evil, and often, the devil or demons are pretty interesting in both the visual sense on screen and in
Oh,
terms of character. But I mean, for me, certainly, I think the visuals of some interpretations of the devil or demons is definitely sort of what I prefer when I think about this sort of stuff. But yeah, I am excited for this nonetheless.
yeah, it's definitely one thing that I'll get into this more later, but a lot of great actors, seem to really look forward to playing the devil. A lot of great actors have really put a lot into it. While you only see a couple actors play God, a
Yeah.
lot seem to look forward to playing Satan.
So what are some of your favorite Satan performances? Would you say then?
Oh, my favorite is not from a horror movie, but it's sort of a creepy movie anyway. It's called The Devil and Daniel Webster.
Right, I've not actually heard of that one. Please talk about that.
It's sort of a fantasy horror from the 1940s. It was based on a
Right.
short story, and it's about a farmer in New Hampshire in the pre-Civil War, post-Revolutionary period, who's
Mhm.
just down on his luck like any great Faust story.
Mhm.
And the devil comes along and says, "You've got a great deal of gold in your barn. All you got to do is give me your soul, and you got 7 years, all the luck in the world. All that money can buy," as the alternate title of the movie was.
Right. So
And
sounds like a pretty simple story, really.
it is, and it also incorporates the American politician Daniel Webster into it as sort of the god figure.
Okay. I'm
So,
I'm not familiar with Daniel Webster, so
okay, yeah, he was just best known sort of as a great orator.
right. Okay.
He mainly just for his oratory, which is what he does in the movie. He's played by Edward Arnold, I believe. That might have changed. It was either Edward Arnold or they replaced Edward Arnold with somebody else. But he's sort of the god figure. He's obviously was not that great in real life. He was a great man. They deify him a bit in the movie.
Right.
But it has this fantastic ending scene where the devil brings up 12 damned American souls to be the jury to hear them both out,
Right.
which is just such a cool concept.
That
I
sounds
love that.
that sounds interesting. I imagine, being it from the 40s, I am a huge lover of shadow in black and white films. I imagine it's got a good deal of high quality lighting.
Oh, it's a beautiful film to look
Yeah.
at. Yeah, it really is. And Walter Houston as the devil is just so charismatic. He's like a con man type.
Yeah.
He just puts so much into it. So that's my favorite devil, I think, because it's just sort of that little whisper in your ear.
Right. Well, I mean that's a great start to the episode. Anyway, I did want to bring up a question that I definitely have strong opinions on. What is it? Is it possession that you prefer, or is it the literal embodiment of Satan? to watch on screen, you know, to see in the visual sense? Is it possession that you gravitate towards, or like the devil incarnate?
More towards the latter, towards the devil incarnate.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I have a possession film or two, and while I appreciate them, like The Exorcist,
Yeah.
they follow the same beats a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same on that. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, there's only really one possession movie on my list, and I think we all know what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of lists of satanic films or devil films, what did you want to talk about first?
All right, I wanted to start with a very early film. It's called Hexen. It's a Swedish film, silent film.
Okay.
It's spelled Haxan. I've heard it pronounced Hexen. I'm going to assume that's right.
Yeah, sounds right.
It's also called Witchcraft Through the Ages. It was directed by someone named Benjamin Christensen, who also plays the devil.
Right.
And it's part documentary and part depiction of what people thought witches did, and then it ends showing how we deal with that kind of thing today, like psychiatrically, instead of condemning them as witches.
Right.
So it's a bit dated, but it's also in a way ahead of its time because it's 1922. So.
Yeah.
But there are some really creepy scenes.
I will admit I do need to. Swedish. I know the Swedes have a great history in film, you know, especially early film. But I mean, it's sort of a era I haven't necessarily got to yet. In terms of silent films, silent horror, I'm familiar with German as opposed to Swedish. But I mean, that sounds interesting. The early 20s, of course, were pretty integral to horror history.
Oh yeah, I'm not a silent film expert by any means. I just came across this through somebody, and I watched it. Saw some of the images.
Yeah.
And it does some things with. It's not all black and white. It's got a little bit of color in it here and there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's effectively creepy.
Oh, great. I've got an interesting one that I wanted to bring up. I wasn't sure whether you would bring this up because it's not necessarily the devil or Satan. It's probably not something that people necessarily think about when they think of like the devil in film. But I wanted to bring up the Chernobog from Fantasia.
I have that too.
Oh, that's great. Because I love that thing. It is terrifying. In every sense, that little short bit of Fantasia is incredible. For 1940, the animation is stunning.
Yeah, if you look at my list of my favorite movies of all time, you've got dark movies, then you've got Fantasia of all things. I just love that movie.
Yeah.
Especially the part.
I mean, I love that part above all others in that because it is just so... watching that as like a child, it is very, very frightening, you know. Chernobog's huge on top of Bald Mountain, wings spanning what seems like miles, all the ghosts flying, he's, you know, sending them off everywhere, and the music as well is just Night on Bald Mountain. I forget who that music is by, but I know it's a great piece of music that fits perfectly with the terrifying Chernobog.
Yeah, there's a rumor actually that Bela Lugosi was the design for him. It's sort of fuzzy as to
Wow.
whether or not he was, but I've heard some people think he was.
I haven't actually heard that. That's...
Yeah, like it was an original design and they changed it over and over. And there's also controversy as to whether he's the devil. Like Deems Taylor, who's the conductor in Fantasia,
Yeah.
said Satan, and then later they said Chernabog. So it's kind of both.
I mean, I believe that Chernabog actually, it's not. It might come from Scandinavia, as a sort of, mythical being. But it's certainly a demon of sorts. I wouldn't necessarily. I don't believe that it is, someone's version of the devil himself. But it's definitely a sort of mythological interpretation of a demon that I just think was done so visually impressively by Disney in 1940.
I love how something can be so beautiful and so dark and horrifying at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's exactly that. To me, at least, anyway.
Yeah, I believe that scene of the witches flying.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Hexen very similar to that. It may have inspired it.
Yes, I would think it probably did.
And it definitely took from another one I have here, which is Murnau's Faust.
Yes.
Another
Yes, of
silent film. I
course.
promise my last silent film.
Oh, I don't mind.
But 1926
Yeah.
was post Nosferatu, pre Sunrise Song of Two Humans.
Yeah.
And he did the story of Faust, which is one of the classic devil stories. It's actually based on a real person. I didn't know this till recently.
Okay.
There was a person named Dr. Faust in real life, and he died in a weird alchemy ritual, and people thought the devil took him.
Right. Well, that makes that more interesting.
Yeah. There's really interesting stuff on his life. He was sort of a mystic. But anyway, Murnau took the Goethe story of Faust and took it as an inspiration for his silent film. It has a happier ending because it was earlier films, they tended to do that more.
Yeah.
But the scene in that where the devil descends on the town also is Night on Bald Mountain.
Yeah.
And this is just...
Everything just fits in nicely.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful film to look at again.
Yeah.
I'll only try to pronounce one actor's name. It's Emil Jannings, who plays Mephistopheles or Mephisto, another name for the devil in the Faust legend.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find interesting about this one is, in the Faust legend and in this movie, you usually hear of 7 years of good luck. In this one, it's 24, one for each hour in the day.
Oh, that's okay.
Americans always want things quicker and shorter, I think. But
yeah.
24 years here. And there's multiple forms the devil takes in this one. He sort of starts as the all-powerful, evil, but then he becomes this old beggar, which is probably the creepiest form of the whole thing when he first gets summoned. And we get a little more sympathetic Faust in this than some retellings because he doesn't do it out of one for himself. He sees people dying and he wants to help them.
Right.
So it's a bit more sympathetic.
Faust is one that it's a title that I'm definitely familiar with and have tried getting hold of for, my collection. But it just seems quite difficult to get my hands on. So I am yet to sadly see it, but it is one I definitely have been looking out to see. But being, German and from the 20s, if it's not Nosferatu or Dr. Caligari, it's not easy to get your hands on.
Yeah, this one it's sort of kind of a horror movie. It definitely inspired a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
And it has the plague subplot that Nosferatu kind of has too. We're not really like that.
Yeah.
Where a plague infests a town, and it's just fascinating to watch because there's a scene, the devil just runs around the town crying bloody murder, and it's just such a well shot scene.
Right.
And he just...
All this is just making me want to watch it more.
It's really worth your time. There's some weird silent comedy, but it was a different era. I get that.
Yeah. Weird silent comedy in a devil film. That's intriguing. Okay. Yeah. I Can we bring it a bit more recent now? Just a bit more recent. Not like I'm not talking like last 10 years or so, but to the most visually striking representation of the devil on film ever, Tim Curry in Legend.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible. It is known for a reason as being the most visually, well, like I say, visually striking devil on film. The horns are bigger than the body. I just love the look of that so much.
Yeah, it's sort of what you'd expect, but it does so much more with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tim Curry is the devil. I mean,
it's perfect.
And it's a fine movie, but that's the best part of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean Tim Curry and the makeup completely stand way above the actual quality of the film.
Oh yeah, and it's a fine film.
Yeah, it's not bad by any means.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to get poked in the face by one of those horns. Let's just say that.
Tim Curry's one who, I know he's like someone you like a lot, who's Vincent Price, I think.
Yes.
He does a lot of over-the-top villains, but he's a really good actor.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get the love yet, and I think he will in later years, but Tim Curry is a really good actor. He's such a presence.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You know he's there when he's in a film.
Yeah, and even when he's just doing a goofy animated special or anything, he's just always having a good time. And yeah, the devil's perfect casting.
Oh yeah, definitely. What else did you have?
All right, next up I have The Devil Rides Out.
By Hammer.
Yeah, by
Yes.
Hammer. And this was considered one of the last great Hammer films. With
Yes.
Terrence Fisher and Christopher Lee as the hero of all things.
Yeah.
And
Rarely the hero.
And he's so great in this. He's just as commanding as he is when he's playing Dracula or Saruman or somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's great because you see Christopher Lee at first, and it's a movie about the devil.
Yeah.
And he has that little mustache and goatee, so you think he's going to be the devil, and he's the hero.
Yeah.
And it's just so great. And this one takes place on the plains in England, so it's a rural versus urban type of thing, where we always see Satanism sort of in a rural castle somewhere.
Yeah.
And Charles Gray plays the high priest of the Satanic Church, and he is terrifying.
Yeah, off the top of my head now, I recall the sacrificial scene. I believe that is from The Devil Rides Out. It's definitely Charles Gray in some sort of purple robe.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. I know he played Blofeld in Thingy as well, didn't Diamonds Are Forever. He was a damn fine actor.
He really was, yeah. And he was the criminologist in Rocky Horror of all things.
Yes, he was.
But I saw him in this, and he just has a scene where he controls somebody's mind, and it's 50 years old, and it holds up wonderfully.
Yeah. It is as well, like you said, it is one of the last, really, the last great Hammer films, because they infamously dipped off wildly in their later years.
I have to confess that I've only gotten into Hammer horror recently, but I really do enjoy the earlier ones.
Oh yeah, I mean, the earlier ones are where to go. I wouldn't go... I don't know. The earlier ones are where to go, and then they were really consistent from 57 to 62.
Yeah.
Then they sort of did one good one every few, and then they just all went, oh my god, what is this? Let's just stop doing them.
Well, the face of horror was changing so much that they were a little bit outdated.
Yeah. But The Devil Rides Out wasn't The Devil Rides Out, I want to say, 1971.
'68 because it was the same year as Rose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But The Devil Rides Out also, there's one scene I really like. There's the scene where they're on the planes and it's not the sacrifice scene, but it's the sort of a reverse of a Holy Communion type thing. And they're all out on the planes, and Christopher Lee's watching from behind, and they actually summon the devil, and it's this goat-looking thing, and it's pretty creepy. But then they shine a light on it through a headlight, and it doesn't look as scary. And I just love that image.
Right. I mean,
you just shine a light on evil, and it's not as bad.
Symbolism.
Yeah, and this is actually Christopher Lee's favorite role, from what I understand, too.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Now, I'm not sure if he said that pre-Lord of the Rings, because I'm sure he loved that, but it was...
That's probably because he was playing a hero and he'd never got to do that.
Yeah, he even said he wanted to do it again as an older actor with better special effects, because they are a little hit and miss in this movie.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can get over that because, you know, it's Hammer, and that's what it was like. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I really don't care. The atmosphere is so good, and even the effects have their own charm, so I just love this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, what do you got?
Well, you just mentioned it as being from the same year as The Devil Rides Out. Why don't we talk about Rosemary's Baby?
Great, I love this one.
What have you done to it? What have you done to its eyes?
He has his father's eyes.
What are you talking about? Guy's eyes are normal. What have you done to him, you maniac?
Because Rosemary's Baby is one of the best made horror films of all time.
Oh yeah, it's probably top 3 for me.
It is just such an impressive slow burn of a film. It just builds up so perfectly. It's so well paced. The acting is phenomenal, and it is all capped off in the final big, you know, quote unquote reveal. Mia Farrow is just, that is one of the great, you know, scenes in horror. That is one of the great quotes in horror. I'm not going to do an impression to, you know, ruin any listeners' hearing, but everyone knows what I mean anyway.
Oh yeah. Mia Farrow should have won an Oscar for that. She wasn't even nominated, sadly, but
yeah,
she's fantastic. Yeah, I love how this is. I was talking about rural horror. This is an urban horror. Yeah, but it's still a gothic horror. Like, it's an old apartment building. Yeah, it's such a beautiful building, but again, it's horrifying.
Oh, it really is. I mean, well, I'd say, you know, the film as a whole is very, very tense, but I mean, it has that that dream that's not really a dream conception. That is certainly the most horrifying, and those eyes of Satan just stick with you.
Yeah, the mask they used in that was apparently a really cheap costume, so they only show it for a split second, but that makes it so much scarier.
Yeah, it is. That is. I need to revisit Rosemary's Baby. I've not watched it in a while, but of course, you know, I had to bring it up on this. I'm very familiar with it, and it is just incredible.
I gotta watch that one every year. It's just so good.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one a one a year type film. Not one that you can watch every day, because you know you don't want to be too messed up.
Oh no, it's one of the darkest horror films there is. Yeah. There was actually one more rumor for you here. There was a rumor in this that Satan was actually played by Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's actually not true, but
that's disappointing.
Yeah, he was just played by this one-off actor named Clay Tanner, who was apparently a consummate professional, you know, boring stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be much more interesting.
But just that flash flash you see of him is so
Yeah.
scary, and she says, "This isn't a dream. This is really
Yeah.
happening." And I won't do an impression either, but it's just, oh
You just did an impression.
no, I wasn't an impression.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, even the what are they? Scrabble letters?
Oh yeah, the Scrabble
Even
scene.
that.
Oh.
It just gets you.
And just even if the Satanist stuff doesn't do it for you, which I love religious horror, but even
Yeah.
if it doesn't, just the paranoia.
Oh yeah, it's the perfect paranoia film. If anyone wants, any listeners listening for some bizarre reason want to feel paranoid, please go and watch Rosemary's Baby.
You enjoy that kind of thing, yeah. But the best scene for me is just that simple scene. She's at the younger doctor, played by Charles Grodin, who's like the one guy not
Yes.
involved with it all.
Yeah,
And he thinks she's going mad. And he
Yeah.
turns her back to Dr. Saperstein, the old Satanist doctor.
Mm.
And just flash. It's so terrifying.
Yeah.
That's her last.
Okay, so moving on, what do we have up next?
All right. Well, we can quickly talk about The Exorcist. It's important.
We can. It is.
Yeah.
Well, it is the only possession film worth mentioning.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
You'd like that?
Intensely.
But wouldn't that drive you out of Reagan?
It would bring us together.
You and Reagan.
You and us.
Oh, yeah.
I am infamously not as big a fan of The Exorcist as most people hope. I don't know why it is really. I watched it again on Halloween because I figured it's Halloween. If there's one night in the year that can change my mind about The Exorcist, it's this night. And I admit to appreciating it more upon that viewing, but it's still, it is not the number one horror film like everyone says it is, for me anyway.
I'm the exact same way. I watched it. It's a well-made movie.
Yeah.
Well directed, well acted, well written. I'm not scared as much by over-the-top scares, and it's just so over-the-top, it's almost funny to me. But it is really well-made, and I appreciate why it scares people.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there are certain scenes that, for sure, make you feel, scared to an extent. I mean, obviously, let's just call it the crucifix scene is just disturbing as horrible. It
Yeah,
is.
that is disturbing.
And even, the final when Father Merrin eventually comes and the room's icy cold and the final exorcism, I enjoy watching that because that is, that's one that sort of gets my heart pounding. And Ellen Burstyn's performance is world class.
Oh, yeah.
It is really good.
Makes-
But, I mean, the rest of it is hit or miss for me.
Yeah, I like the slow burn. I like that it takes a while to get going. It's not for me what it is for a lot of people, but it's a well-made movie.
Yeah, definitely. And I always compare it to The Omen,
Yeah, I got that too.
which I greatly prefer.
Oh, yeah.
Damien, look at me! I'm over here! Damien, I love you! Look at me, Damien! It's all for you!
The Omen is it's one of my. I'm never good at making, sort of top 10, top 5 lists, but it is in top 3 for me. Horror is The Omen. It is a perfect horror movie in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's such a great. You said this before too. It's such a great mystery.
Yeah.
And if you don't like horror, it's a great mystery. And
Yeah.
Gregory Peck, I mean, that sells it.
Gregory Peck is phenomenal. He's like. This is another way I compare it. He's like the male version of Ellen Burstyn. But
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I prefer Peck's performance. I think they're both great, but I think Peck, with the circumstances of the story, it's sort of, you can see why Peck's character, what's his name? Thorne, Robert Thorne.
Robert, yeah.
You can see why he is the way he is compared to Ellen Burstyn, who's just sort of scared and really distressed. Played very well, but Gregory Peck, you know, he goes out, he goes to Italy, tries to find everything, and then the final, you know, is just like, The Omen is just perfect.
Yeah, you see every emotion on Gregory Peck's face.
You really do.
It's one of his best performances, and he was such a great actor.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And David Warner as well, I want to mention, who played Keith Jennings in that. He's my favorite character actor. He's just so phenomenal in everything he's in.
Yeah, he often pops up in random 70s films. And, he's great in, you know, he's sort of a plot device.
He is sort of a plot device because he is the one who sort of is the exposition and shows what's going on. But I also kind of think he self-sacrifices himself.
He does.
He could have stayed away from it all and probably not gotten hurt. But
Yeah.
he's goes in knowing he's going to die, and he does terrifyingly.
He does brilliantly. I love that. He's one of my favourite death scenes.
Yeah, it's a tough scene to watch, but it's a really well-made scene.
Oh, yeah. Richard Donner. Weird.
Yeah. And I even like parts. It's nowhere near as good. I like parts of Omen too.
I'll disappoint people by saying I haven't watched Omen 2. I'm only familiar with Omen 1, with the first.
Okay.
But I'm 19 years old and I have time to get there.
Oh, yeah. It's really hit or miss. You've got William Holden plays Gregory Peck's brother. Who's fine. Yeah. It's a lot rehashing of the first, but the kid who plays Damien is awesome. He's one of the best kid performances. And that's why it's good.
Is it? And it's not the same kid as the first, or is it?
No. It was made 2 years later and set about 7 years later.
Oh right.
I think the actor's name was Jonathan something. I'm finding it here. He wasn't in much else, but I couldn't believe it. He's very scary.
Right.
Jonathan Scott Taylor is his name.
Right. Well, I know the original Damien was called Harvey Stevens.
Yeah,
I know that.
Great in that too, just a little bit you see him on screen.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot, but he's got a terrifying face for a child. And
he's kind of even cute at the end when he just turns to the camera and smiles, but it's so unsettling.
It is. It's so unsettling. It is the perfect unsettling film. Again, listeners, if you want to be unsettled, go and watch The Omen. What else is there in The Omen that's just fantastic? Patrick Troughton, however you say his name, as the priest.
Oh yeah, the formerly satanic priest who won. Yeah.
It's in that. Everything he does is great, and he's only in for like the first, 25 minutes, I want to say. But
yeah,
his death's incredible as well.
I think that one scene where he's in Gregory Peck's office, like his mother was a jackal, and just gets taken out of the office.
Yeah. That's where you first meet him, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. He's only in a couple scenes. I always wanted to be in more.
Yeah.
But the score for that movie, brilliant.
Yeah.
Jerry Goldsmith, who was one of the greatest composers.
Round of applause for Jerry Goldsmith, please.
Yes. The Latin chanting of actual Satanism to an extent, because it's called Ava Satani, I believe, which is Hail Satan, more or less.
It has a lot of... Well, obviously it does, but, like, it has a lot of Italian themes in it. Obviously, being that it's quite a large, important chunk of the film is set in Italy.
Yeah, it's very, very European and especially very Roman.
Yeah. I love that. I went to Rome this past summer and will admit to pretending to be Gregory Peck.
You know, taking knives up to children is not really a good idea.
No, it's not really. But I felt I'd be missing a serious opportunity if I didn't take advantage of where I was and pretend to be Gregory Peck.
And I just love that creepy cathedral they stay at for a moment, too, just to visit the priest whose face is withered. Every scene in that movie is just, you could study it.
Yeah.
Or the graveyard scene.
The graveyard scene is the most terrifying scene in it.
Yeah, that's one of the scariest scenes. Because they're digging it up.
Yeah.
And you see them dig, and it kind of cuts back and forth with the dogs, and then there's this shot from behind the gate, and you know there's something on. And that's so perfect.
I know exactly the shot you're talking about.
Yeah. One of the most effective shots in all of horror.
Oh, yeah.
And we forgot to mention the nanny, the Scary Poppins.
Yes. Everything.
Yeah, this is one of the greats.
Okay. What else? Right, I have written down. Well, you were mentioning. I don't know what film you were talking about now. My mind has gone completely blank. But you were mentioning a goat.
Yes, the goat of Mendez in The Devil Rides Out.
Devil Rides Out. And well, there was a film earlier this year that everyone knows I loved so much, The Witch.
Yes.
Which I thought was the best horror film we've had in so long. And seeing that earlier this year, it restored my faith in what the genre's doing these days. And now with the rest of the horror that's come out this year, it's just such a good time for the genre now, I think. I believe we're in a resurgence.
I sure hope so.
But The Witch is just incredible. It is, again, a very slow film, but such an intense, atmospheric, dark film, bleak film, but it just works really, really well. It's very, very well made. And obviously, Black Phillip.
Wouldst thou like the taste of butter, a pretty dress? Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Yes.
Wouldst thou like to see the world?
What will you from me?
Dost thou see a book before thee?
I have a T-shirt with the quote, "Wouldst thou like to live deliciously" on.
Really, that's awesome.
So, well, if you get a T-shirt in my wardrobe, that means you have my approval. So The Witch, but yeah, I loved The Witch, and I know it's divisive because I know some people see it as boring or can't understand the accents.
I loved it all. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about the fact that we prefer the idea of the devil incarnate over possession, but Caleb's seemingly possession, when he's just blurting out, I assume they are passages of scripture, but he's just
Puritan prayers of some kind.
yeah, it's definitely some sort of prayer, but it's it's a family story at its core, and it is just
Yeah.
family breakdown in the purest and most brilliant form.
And it never feels like these are Hollywood actors.
Oh, not
playing.
at all. Not at all.
Ralph Ineson, who's the father, is so fantastic in this, and I never thought for once, oh, this is a Hollywood good-looking actor playing.
No, he's just...
Century.
Yeah, he's just like... I mean, what else is Ralph... Ralph Ineson's in Game of Thrones, isn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
And... Oh, I believe he was in the last Harry Potter film as well. I believe he played one of the Carrows. If, for those familiar with Harry Potter.
It looks
Yes,
like
he
it
did.
says Amicus Carroll.
Amicus
here.
Carroll, yeah. He didn't do a lot, I remember, but... I remember his face in it. But he has a wild beard in The Witch and long hair. Does he have a beard? He doesn't have a beard, does he?
Yeah, he has.
He has a little beard. Yeah, The Witch, it's... I have applauded The Witch far too often on this podcast. Probably more than it deserves, and I do think it is an excellent film. But yeah, so I might shut up about The Witch for just a little while.
It deserved the love. I loved the thing. When it got to the end, I'm not going to spoil the ending.
Oh,
But
no,
It gets to the end, and I'm like, they're not actually going to have this goat talk. It's not actually going to be scary.
Yeah.
And the whole end is terrifying.
It does. It is. It's weird. Like, it shouldn't. It almost shouldn't be scary. I think if the whole film had felt different in sort of tone than what it is, because it is very gloomy and bleak, that ending wouldn't have worked at all. It'd have just felt goofy, if anything.
Right, yeah. It only works because the rest of the movie built up to it, and she has
Yeah.
that to herself as the sun sets, and yeah,
Oh yeah. It's some great shots as well. Some great cinematography.
Oh yeah, it's going to go down as a really great horror film, I believe.
I really hope it does. I really hope it does, and I recommend it to anybody that hasn't seen it yet.
I believe for those who have Amazon, it's on Amazon Video right now for free. So
Oh
check it out.
well, yeah.
I just saw it last month for the first time, and I watched it once or twice since. It's so well.
Oh yeah.
And I love how America sort of started the witch hunts again. I don't love that it happened, but I love studying it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's fascinating. Is the topic of witches. You know, witches as we see them now, because it is, of course, you know, Wiccan is a legitimate religion. You know, it's not Satanism, and that is a common misconception, and was obviously a misconception back in the days of where the witch was set, and the stuff like Salem witch trials and stuff like that. But Salem witch trials wasn't even anything to do with witches. That was just lie after lie after lie. But yeah, it's a fascinating topic, and it makes for some great horror films.
Yeah, there were no witches in Salem, obviously, at all, but
No.
every movie about it has witchcraft, and they even sort of celebrate it, which is kind of weird because people were killed for it.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant thing.
No, but it's still fascinating history, but there's going to be witch hunts all throughout, whether it's McCarthyism or whether it's
Yeah.
the Satanic Panic in America in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
There's witch all over the place.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get off on a history tangent.
No, tangents are fine.
Yeah, okay. Next up, I have a movie that sort of got me into horror movies. It's called Angel Heart.
Angel Heart, of course.
Yes, this was one of the first horror movies that really made me fall in love with the genre, because I've been a mystery fan all my life.
Yeah.
And this is such a great blending of film noir mystery with psychological religious horror.
Definitely.
And it just blends better than any other mystery horror except maybe The Omen. It's right up there.
Yeah.
And you've got Mickey Rourke, who gives probably the best performance of his career.
Yeah, he probably, yeah. The wrestler.
Okay, we'll call it a tie.
Yeah, tie it.
He plays this New York detective who gets a call from the devil, basically.
Yeah.
Saying, looking for this guy. And he sort of hides the fact that he's the devil, but not really. I mean, his name is Louis Cyphier.
It's a ridiculously on-the-nose name. And I've always thought it was a ridiculously on-the-nose name. But it's De Niro, so
yeah.
You can't not love him.
Yeah, the name is a little silly. If you read the book it's based on, called Falling Angel, present tense, by William Forsberg, the name makes a little more sense. The book is phenomenal as well.
Right.
But in the movie, yeah, he doesn't really hide that he's the devil.
No.
But anyway,
Doesn't seem to.
Singer sold his soul to the devil for stardom, and it gets him into this world of seedy New York City Satanism, then New Orleans Satanism.
Mm-hmm.
And you also get some other voodoo that isn't really hurting anybody. So it does a good job of showing sort of the one kind of voodoo and the other kind of darker stuff.
Yeah.
But it just... Everyone in this movie just does a great job. And De Niro actually based the devil's mannerisms off Martin Scorsese.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the sort of the look and the mannerisms. And
I get that, actually.
Yeah.
That makes sense now. You're coming out with all these trivia and rumours today. I love it.
I know so much random stuff. It probably annoys a lot of people.
Yeah, it doesn't annoy me.
No, good. But just the way De Niro looks in this movie is so creepy.
Yeah.
The long jet black hair and the beard and this little staff he holds. Oh.
Yeah.
He's a little over the top, but it still works.
Oh no, it definitely works.
Yeah.
Definitely works. I mean, Angel Heart I know was 1987.
Right.
So it was a time when, you didn't really have a lot of devil films.
No, they were kind of dying out.
Yeah, it sort of. It stands on its own in that sort of era as being sort of the only, Satan film there is, which is interesting, because I feel like you could make a Satan devil horror film at any time and it'd still work, but it just seemed that at that time it just sort of went for a bit. Okay.
But Angel Heart is just such a great mystery, even aside from the horror aspects, and you think you see a lot of gruesome things, but it leaves a lot to your imagination too.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like Chinatown meets Rosemary's Baby, like if it's the film Polanski never made.
That's an interesting analogy.
And he did make another sort of film like it, but I don't want to talk about The Ninth Gate. I didn't care for it.
Fair enough.
If you have it on your list, we'll talk about it.
No, I don't. So
yeah, I thought it was
absolutely fair enough.
All right, what do you have next?
I got Devil's Advocate.
Me too.
Which is just Pacino's version of the devil.
Yeah.
And it is incredible, and it's so bizarre. And I love it. It is over the top. But because it's Pacino, it just works. Keanu Reeves is legitimately great. Charlize Theron is great. It's
This is his first movie, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, she really is.
And Keanu does okay. I'm not a big fan, but he does well in this.
No, he does, definitely. I mean, I'm a fan of his. There are certainly some things where he's just not good.
Yeah.
But he works. It works in The Devil's Advocate, and at least Pacino doesn't have as on the nose a name as De Niro does for his version of the devil.
John Milton is a good one, though. I like it. But it's sort of like if John Grisham wrote a horror movie, and that sounds great to me. So I love John Grisham.
Okay.
Who's a legal author.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like a John Grisham novel if he wrote a horror movie, and yeah, Pacino as Satan is the best part of it.
Oh, by far.
His speech at the end, which just goes on and on,
Yeah.
but works, and just yeah, Keanu and him in the last scene going back and forth.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it really
yeah.
becomes just about good and evil and morality, and yeah, it's just an incredibly tense film. There's some really great scenes of tension.
Oh yeah, I think it's a better film than a lot of people would probably give it credit for.
Yeah, so it's sort of gotten a lot of hate recently, which I don't get because I think it's a really well-made movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Pacino as an actor anyway, he was the first actor I really fell in love with. And Devil's Advocate wasn't one of the first films I saw him in by any means, but it was one I found when I was just going, oh, what else has Al Pacino been in? Oh, he was in this weird devil film. Oh my god, he's actually very good as the devil. And he's just so engrossing to watch in anything.
Yeah, you completely get why people are attracted to him in this movie. He's just so charismatic.
Yeah. Very charismatic. Very, very.
And he's such a great devil for the 90s. You know, right after the era of, like, Wall Street and the Gordon Geckos of the 80s, he's sort of...
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like The Firm and a little bit like Wall Street. And he's just the guy you're drawn to. And
Yeah, I get that.
it's so great, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have anything else? Oh, unless you want to carry on. Unless you want to carry on with Devil's Advocate.
Nah, that's all I have to say about that one, pretty much.
Fair enough.
That's, I believe, all I have. Do you have any more?
I don't actually. Why do I not have any more? Unless we can, unless we can think of something off the top of our head now.
I got one here that kind of counts, I guess. Have you seen a movie called Eye of the Devil?
I haven't. No.
Okay.
But go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, it's never outright mentioned to be Satanism, but it is very, very heavily implied. David Niven and Deborah Kerr, yeah.
Okay.
This is another one of those rural gothic satanic horrors, and he's called back home because the plants are really dying, and eventually we find out they need a sacrifice of some kind.
Okay.
So it falls into a lot of the cliches, but it's the best version of those cliches.
Yeah, I can deal with cliches. They've
You've
never
got
been.
Donald Pleasance as a creepy priest.
Oh, then I'm watching it because Donald Pleasance is fantastic.
He is. And Sharon Tate, who was Roman Polanski's wife.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's a pretty good cast.
Yeah, I just saw this for the first time this year, and I really thought it was creepy. Really well done.
I am looking that one up after this.
And I would argue it had a little inspiration on Rosemary's Baby, even though it came out around the same time, and a good bit of inspiration on The Wicker Man, which I know is one of your favorites.
It certainly is. Yeah, it sounds like one I will definitely have to look for somewhere.
Yeah, they never outright say the devil except in the title, but they talk about, like, a 13th man among the 12, and you kind of get the implication where they're going with it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's a really well done movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
Great. Well, I've forgotten a segment, haven't I?
That's okay.
Right. Okay. Let's do this now because I have been thrown off by the fact that we haven't had a single guest, like one single guest on the show for quite a few episodes now. I've been thrown off the fact that I'm supposed to ask you to talk about what you think your favourite horror film is at the start, but let's do that now instead.
Great, I prepared for this. Alright. My favorite horror film of all time is actually not one that falls into the devil category. It's actually The Haunting.
Oh, it's a great choice.
Yeah, I just fell in love with this movie when I saw it. Robert Wise, who directed musicals and sci-fi, did this one horror movie, and it's the best ghost story that I've seen.
It's certainly up there. It's certainly up there.
You don't see anything at all.
No. Very rarely does the actual location feel like a character more than it does in The Haunting.
Yeah, I hate the cliche when people say, "Oh, it's like the era is a character or the setting is a character," but in this, the house is a character.
It is. It really is. Again, that is one with phenomenal cinematography.
Oh yeah,
Just incredible.
Yeah, and I love the gothic horror aspects of it. They stay in the house the whole time. And
Yeah.
it's claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And sound is used perfectly.
Yeah. No, it's a really, really very, very well made and very, very effective. Nice little ghost story.
Yeah.
No, nothing violent, nothing graphic. It just gets you deep down, and it makes you because it's just that well made.
Yeah, and all the characters are interesting. Even the minor characters, like the doctor's wife, are actually great characters.
Yeah.
Everyone, all the performances, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Nothing beats it.
that's a great pick. Anyway, so unless I'm forgetting something horrible, which I don't think I am, I think that about should wrap up this episode.
Yeah, I don't think there's any egregious misses we didn't talk about. I think
No,
we
I
hit all
don't
the
think so.
big ones, couple obscure ones.
Yeah, I mean, and you even went to silent, which is something that we rarely do on Horror House, but I would like to do more when I have become familiar with more silent films than I currently am. Because unlike I know a lot of people tend to just think silent films and just say the word no. But I'm not one of those people, and I don't think that anyone listening to this is one of those people either. So I'd love to do a silent episode one day. Not.
Yeah, I just got into a few of these lately, but I have to watch some more as well. But I love talking about really, really old horror films, because just to think how long ago they were made is kind of creepy in its own way.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for this excellent discussion. Thank you for coming on. Where can people find you?
Okay, I got all kinds of stuff. Collin Murr on Twitter. Just Collin Murr at Collin Murr, real easy to find. I have a movie blog that I started about a year ago. It's called collinwatchesmovies.wordpress.com, called Movie Matchup. I just watch a bunch of similar movies. One of them was actually Devil Stories, and I compare them, see what the best of each is. I am currently on that doing a matchup for fun in the holiday season of the worst Christmas specials of all time.
Great.
So I am, if anyone wants to be a guest on that, I'm going to start doing a couple podcasts of my own, I believe. So
Excellent.
yeah, and that's what I'm doing there. I'm also an author, ideally. I went to school for writing, and I'm working on some novels. I really enjoy writing like religious horror mystery, so that's why I enjoy this topic so much.
Yeah, seems like you would. Seems like you'd be pretty decent at writing them. You've got enough knowledge of the topic.
Yeah, so yeah, the movie matchup at WordPress, and then just on Twitter. Yeah, you can find me there.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
No problem at all, guys. As usual, you can find me on Twitter at the Purple Don, or you can follow the podcast at Horror House Pod. Please share this episode around if you did like it. Use the hashtag Horror House Pod to let us know what you thought of this nice casual episode. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, or if you're listening on Spreaker, which is where the audio only versions of this show can now be found. I don't know what it is over there. Follow us over there. I think it's one of those. But yeah, that will do it for episode 13, Satanic/Devil Horror. Thank you again to Collin for being the guest on this episode. And until episode 14. Goodbye, guys.
Ha